Welcome to the Nursing with Dr. Ziyadaya. In this tutorial series, we are going to discuss tuberculosis medical management for nurses. It includes anti-TB drugs, first-line anti-TB drugs, mechanism and side effects, TB treatment regime, and nursing management and care. Now let's talk about how we treat tuberculosis and the medications involved. Let's go through the first line anti-TB medications. There are 4 primary drugs and you need to know each one in detail. The first and most important is Isoniazid, also called INH. The adult daily dose is 5 mg per kilogram with a maximum of 300 mg daily. Isoniazid is a bactericidal drug, meaning it kills the bacteria. Its most important side effects include peripheral neuritis, that is inflammation of the nerves causing numbness and tingling, particularly in the hands and feet, as well as hepatic enzyme elevation and hepatotoxicity. This is why pyridoxine, which is vitamin B6, is routinely given alongside with isoniazid as prophylaxis against neuritis. You must monitor AST and ALT regularly. There are also drug interactions, so phenytoin levels rise when given with isoniazid, and patients should avoid alcohol. The second drug is Rifampicin. The daily dose is 10 mg per kilogram up to 600 mg. Rifampicin is also bactericidal. Its side effects include hepatitis, febrile reactions, nausea, and vomiting. A unique and important nursing consideration is Rifampicin turns body secretions orange. Urine, tears, sweat, and saliva will all become orange to red in color. Warn patients about this before treatment. It also stains soft contact lenses permanently, so patients should switch to glasses during treatment. Rifampicin has significant drug interactions. It increases the metabolism of many medications, making them less effective. This includes oral contraceptives, a critical counseling point for female patients of reproductive age. Third is Pyrazinamide. This is bactericidal drug, can cause hyperuricemia, elevated uric acid levels, which can precipitate gout. So monitor uric acid levels. It can also cause hepatotoxicity and skin rash. Finally, Ethambutol. Unlike the other 3, Ethambutol is bacteriostatic. It inhibits bacterial growth rather than killing outright. Its most significant side effect is optic neuritis, which can potentially lead to impaired visual acuity and color discrimination. A baseline eye examination should be performed at the start of the treatment, and visual acuity and color discrimination should be monitored throughout. Use caution in patients with renal disease. The treatment of newly diagnosed pulmonary TB follows a structured 2-phase approach. Phase 1 is the initial phase and it runs for 8 weeks. That's 2 full months of daily therapy. During this initial phase, the patient takes all 4 first-line drugs simultaneously: Isoniazid, Rifampicin, Pyrazinamide, and Ethambutol, plus vitamin B6 at 50 mg daily. All of these medications are taken orally once daily. Purpose of this intensive 4-drug combination is to rapidly kill the large population of actively dividing bacteria and prevent the emergence of drug resistance. After the initial 8 weeks, the patient transitions to the continuation phase. For the large majority of patients, this is option A, that is isoniazid plus rifampicin for an additional 4 months, bringing the total treatment duration to 6 months. However, a 7-month continuation phase is recommended for specific scenarios, that is patients who had cavitary pulmonary TB with positive sputum culture after the initial 2 months of treatment. Patients whose initial phase did not include pyrazinamide for any reason, or patients on a once weekly isoniazid and rifampicin regimen whose sputum culture remains positive at the end of the initial phase, you can use this continuation B. Now, very important point, patients are considered non-infectious after 2 to 3 weeks of continuous medication therapy, even though the treatment continues for months longer. And critically, it is the total number of doses taken, not simply how many days or weeks have passed, that determines whether a course of therapy is truly complete. Let's come to the prophylactic isoniazid therapy. For individuals who are infected with Mycobacterium tuberculosis but do not yet have active disease, meaning they have latent TB infection, prophylactic treatment may be recommended to prevent progression to active disease. Isoniazid is the primary agent used for this purpose. Prophylactic isoniazid treatment involves taking daily doses for 6 to 12 months. Now, who qualifies for prophylactic isoniazid? The CDC identifies several high-risk groups: household family members of patients with active TB, HIV-positive patients with PPD induration for 5 millimeters or more, patients with fibrotic lesions on the chest X-ray suggesting old healed TB, combined with PPD induration of 5 millimeters or more. Skin test converts patient whose PPD was previously negative and has now turned positive, suggesting recent infection. IV drug users with a PPD of 10 millimeters or more, patients with high-risk comorbidities and a PPD of 10 millimeters or more. Additionally, candidates who are foreign-born from high-prevalent countries, who belong to high-risk medically underserved populations, or who live in institutional settings. During prophylactic isoniazid therapy, nurses must monitor the liver enzymes, blood urea nitrogen, and creatinine monthly. Sputum culture results are also monitored for acid-pass bacilli to evaluate the effectiveness of the treatment and patient adherence. Drug resistance. We need to understand drug resistance because it profoundly shapes our treatment decisions. There are two critical levels of drug resistance in TB. The first is multi-drug resistant TB or MDR-TB. This is defined as resistant to at least two of the most powerful first-line anti-TB drugs, especially isoniazid and rifampicin. Together, these two drugs are the backbone of TB treatment, and resistant to both of them severely limits our options. The population at great risk for MDR-TB are patients who are HIV positive, patients who are institutionalized, and homeless individuals. Populations where consistent access to and completion of treatment is more challenging. The second and more alarming level is extensively drug resistant TB or XDR-TB. This is defined as resistant to isoniazid and rifampicin, just like MDR-TB, plus resistant to any fluoroquinolone and resistant to at least one of three injectable second-line agents, that is amikacin, kanamycin, or capreomycin. XDR-TB is extremely difficult to treat. The populations most affected are those with HIV infection or other forms of severe immunosuppression. The increasing prevalence of drug-resistant TB worldwide is one of the most serious threats in global public health. It is driven largely by incomplete or interrupted treatment, which is why adherence to full treatment course is so critically important. This is why the nurse's role in supporting treatment adherence is not just a clinical task, it is a public health imperative. And if you have any doubts or any questions, you can put in the comment section, or else you can email me or you can WhatsApp me. So please subscribe my channel and stay with me. Thank you.